All right, I hope everybody's having a fantastic weekend out there. It's February 10th, 2024. I just got done changing the oil on my truck, and I thought that I would ask the audience here today, do you guys change your own oil or do you take it into a shop to have that done? And the reason I was thinking about that is just because even changing my own oil on my truck, now it does take about 13 quarts of oil, and the filter, they nailed me for like 50 or 60 bucks, I think. And so even changing my own oil, it still cost me over $100 just between the filter and some oil. So I thought I'd ask the question to you guys, do you change your own oil or do you take it into the shop somewhere and get it done? Nonetheless, we have a lot to talk about, folks. Historical week for current events, world stage, and for the XRP ledger as well. As you saw, we titled this session XRP Ledger Clawback Amendment Going Live. And this is so important. So many people overlooking this. All the attention has been on the AMM, but the clawback amendment is going to be absolutely massive for legitimate institutions and businesses choosing the XRP ledger. We see the example of Franklin Templeton choosing the Stellar network to launch tokenized mutual funds, right? This is a 1-point-something trillion asset manager that is choosing the Stellar network because they have that clawback feature among some other, features of the Stellar network, which make it appealing for institutions like a Franklin Templeton. And so I believe that we're going to see more of that, right? USDC Circle has issued the USDC on the Stellar network as well. And I think that you're going to see issuers like Circle, issuers like Franklin Templeton, and more now showing up to the XRP ledger that, we're going to be bringing mutual funds, tokenized equities, tokenized real estate. And for all of these to comply with the laws, you need the clawback. And so it's really overlooked, right? And people think, well, how does this apply to me, making my XRP go up in price? Well, it's going to bring more value on Ledger, more settlement on Ledger, and more stable coins and currencies on Ledger. And this is what we need. So let's get right on into the update. Now, you guys might have saw that Putin, Tucker Carlson interview. I did share a video yesterday, just kind of sharing my thoughts on it. And in general, the point that I was trying to get to was this one right here. Benny Johnson putting this out, and he says, Tucker won. And you can see that this is Fox News sharing a clip of the Tucker Carlson interview. And up at the top there, it says, courtesy of the Tucker Carlson Network. Now, that's the point that I was trying to bring home, is just the fact that as an independent journalist myself, someone who's putting out content on a daily basis, the fact that Tucker was able to have such a massive impact outside of mainstream is what I respect, what I wanted to commend, and what I wanted to highlight. The second part of why I covered the interview and why I want, because people, once again, it's like Trump, same thing with Putin. If you even bring up the guy, even if you take a neutral stance, which is what I took a neutral stance, just kind of reporting on the circumstances of around the interview, even just bringing it up, people get all sorts of worked up one way or another. That's not the point I was trying to make. I was not trying to say good guy, bad guy, pick this side, pick that side. I was trying to say this is a win for decentralized media and independent journalists, free speech, and our country is broke. No matter what you want to do, the U.S. national debt reaches a new all-time high of $34.2 trillion, and whether you love him or you hate him, I know it's hard to agree with something out of Putin, right? Because we've been trained to think that he's the big bad bear. But he is absolutely right about us destroying our reserve currency status, and the share of the reserve currency that's being used worldwide is getting overtaken by the yuan. And he noted how we're starting to see not just our enemies, but our allies that are starting to move away from the US dollar, and this is the concern. Now, another thing that is a concern for me is the overpriced and overvalued equities market. We now see that Nvidia is now worth as much as the entire Chinese stock market. Now, let me know in the comments down below how much longer you think this party lasts, as far as Nvidia in the stock market just chasing new all-time highs. Day after day, they've just been printing green candles, and since the beginning of this year, they have all just ran up tremendously. We reported on it earlier this week too, with Microsoft now trading at more than all of the energy sector companies included in the S&P 500, even though those energy sector companies produce far more free cash flow than Microsoft. Microsoft is trading at a $3 trillion market cap, and it is trading equivalent or more than all of the energy sector companies in the S&P 500. This is what we would call out of balance, right? And during moments like this is when you see historical corrections, and I think that we're about to get served up with one. And the article says right here, with one going up and the other down, Nvidia is now worth as much as the entire Chinese stock market. Now, this is, important to note that this is after the stock market over there in China has collapsed by about 30 to 50%, depending on how you measure it. Okay. So, we see similar moments like this. Japan in the 1990s, best of breed bull in deflationary bear. You have the top IX versus the Japan Nifty 15. And you see the same thing taking place right now. We have the Magnificent Seven that are driving the S&P 500 and the broader stock market up. Now, what we've been highlighting is these companies are reporting decent earnings because there's still plenty of money to flow around, right? The well-off, those that have it, are still spending some of it. And so, relatively speaking, the earnings are still coming in fine. But what's happening on the other side of that picture? Massive, massive layoffs. And I was going to put this out there for everyone. I think that my new trading strategy just might be wait for the next round of layoffs and buy the stock after they announce layoffs, because it appears that the market is just eating it up. They look at it and they say, oh, Cisco laid off 10,000. So-and-so laid off 20,000. This is going to be positive for earnings. This is going to be more profit. Let's buy, let's run up the stock, because we've been seeing it time and time again where Meta lays off 22% of their staff, almost 20,000 people. What's the stock do? Goes ballistic. Why? Because now they're going to, they're cutting off 20% of their staff. And now they're offering a dividend of 50 cents per share, right? And what's Mark Zuckerberg and the CEOs of these companies doing? Dumping their stock at record levels. It's a complete setup. And speaking of jobs, 87% of the jobs created last month in Canada were government jobs. Now, this is not as drastic in the United States, but up in Canada, look at this, folks. Change in thousands. 55,000 employees added. 47.6 thousand of them were public sector government employees. Only 7,000 added were private sector. And when it comes to self-employed, it was a loss of 17,000 self-employed workers. So, right there, we have a total of 37,000 positive, right? So this is where they tout strong jobs numbers. Where's it coming from? 87% government? And there's just no end in sight. I mean, you can't knock the hustle for those government workers. I have many friends. I know many people that, work for customs, work for Border Patrol up here, work for other parts of the government. I get it, right? They're paying well and they're hiring. So why not take advantage of it, right? But this shows the discrepancy between the data and how it's portrayed in the mainstream media by these talking head pundits that want to tout that we have a strong economy. We do not have a strong economy. Just because stock prices are going up does not relate to strength in Main Street economy. Just because we've added, 87% of them were government jobs does not show a strong economy. It shows that the government is still printing money, running record deficits. And speaking to the United States specifically, we're running up deficits of about $1 trillion every 3 to 4 months. So that's where they're talking about the strength being at. It's a complete joke. Into cryptocurrency, take a look at this one, folks. This is massive. The top 5 new spot Bitcoin ETFs now own a combined 195,000 Bitcoin, worth over 9.3 billion. So they're already approaching close to 1% of all of the Bitcoins in total existence. That's significant, right? This is moving quickly, and this is where we've been talking about that divide, right? The haves are the folks that have positions in these stocks, in these equities. The haves are those that are buying the Bitcoin, buying the cryptocurrency assets, right? And the real estate and the businesses, right? Meanwhile, those that are trying to get into the game, you barely got any money left over. And if you do got any money left over, well, good news for you. You can finally get some exposure through your 401k retirement account. You can shift some of that over into a spot Bitcoin ETF. Nothing that I'm interested in. I don't want any of these ETF products. All I want is the underlying assets themselves. And so this is why we've seen incredible strength in, the crypto market right now, is because we still see record amounts of volume and inflows into Bitcoin spot ETFs taking place. We still see a narrative that's very strong. It sells very, very well right now. You have to understand, the problem's so big, so nasty, so ugly, and we agree with the Bitcoin bros on 99% of it. I just don't agree with Bitcoin being the best solution, the best investment to be made based off of our situation. But nonetheless, they get and they dupe a lot of new people who are looking for alternatives. It's much easier, right? You don't have to leave your house to go buy crypto, right? You can just pull up your phone and you can buy crypto with a couple taps. To get your precious metals, well, you could go and you could order them online. We have a couple affiliates that will allow you to place your order, right? But you get my point, right? It's a little bit more difficult. Now, of course, you could just hit buy gold ETF, buy silver ETF, but we don't want exposure that way. We want to hold the underlying assets. And so the Bitcoin narrative is showing incredible strength. We're seeing Bitcoin back up to 48,000 just within the last day. And now we're back up here today as I'm recording this video. We're at about 1 o'clock on the West Coast, 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, as we're watching Bitcoin back up to about 48,000. For Ethereum, it's 2,500. For XRP, it's 52.5 cents. Still got a ways to go. Now, I still think that we have a correction that's at play. I think this is a bull trap rally that is underway, but we're going to continue to watch it. Now, what's interesting, we found this clip over the weekend. Echo the Truth, our good friend, says the Breakfast Club knows XRP, and we need to know what we hold. Listen in, I missed this clip. I guess this was from 2021, but nonetheless, we're about to start getting mainstream coverage like this. The culture, right, is about to pick up on XRP. It's not just going to be a Bitcoin story. And I'm sure they'll talk about Solana, they'll talk about Ethereum, they'll talk about other crap. But what's about to be talked about is XRP, and it already is. Listen in on this one, folks.
I don't think Bitcoin itself will be the currency coin. I think something like XRP has a better chance, like a Ripple has a better chance, just because of, like you said, institutional money being behind it and its functionality. Its functionality is to make transactions quicker, right? We always give that example. If you had to get $1 million from New York City to London, what would be the fastest way?
If I had to do it the fastest way?
Yeah.
Transfer it over from my account?
No. The fastest way would be get on a plane with it and fly to London.
Yep.
Right? It wouldn't take you 7 to 10 days to
They
get
ain't
that
not
money.
letting you on no plane with no billion.
Well, I mean,
No,
you got a
I'm saying,
private
but
plane.
that's the only way. You know what I'm saying?
A private plane.
So that would be the fastest way to do it. You'd have to wait 7 to 10 days. When you have an XRP, that transaction can happen in less than 60 seconds.
Right.
Right. And there are people who have that type of capital who need to make those type of investments and make those type of transactions. They don't have 7 to 10 days. If you got a real estate deal and you need that money in by the next 5 days, you can't wait 7 to 10 or
Not
even
at all.
14. You need to get that money there as fast as possible. I don't think Bitcoin.
So that was a classic little clip there. I missed that one when it originally happened, but this is just the reason why I brought that up is because it's an example of what's coming. The spotlight's about to shine on Ripple. It's about to shine on XRP, and the utility that's coming is going to accelerate that. I thought this was an interesting point right here from Anders. He's responding to a tweet from Emi Yoshikawa, which we did already cover in a separate video, but this is important. So many people don't even know about the XRP Ledger DEX, including people that hold XRP, but it's literally probably the best feature of the XRP Ledger is the native decentralized exchange that allows you to trade assets freely on the ledger. And this is from Emi Yoshikawa, where she says the XRP Ledger has been operating the world's first DEX since 2012, and it is an order book format, CLOB DEX. If AMM, Automated Market Maker, is added here by amendment in the future, it is expected that it will become the most powerful DEX plus CLOB plus AMM and dramatically improve liquidity. Now, Anders chimes in and he says, unpopular opinion. Ripple won't be able to achieve its goals for XRP as a commonly used bridge asset in cross-border payments without the AMM, simply because there won't be enough liquidity. And liquidity is a chicken and egg problem. It's so true, right? There won't be assured success with it, but I'd bet it's an assured failure without it. Ripple themselves could provide tons of liquidity this way since they're sitting on so much XRP, plus certain incentive programs, and that's just it, right? So many people are wanting Ripple to get rid of that escrow and give it to this company, give it to that company. Hold up, okay? We're talking about not just some little ordinary company that's willy-nilly throwing their XRP around. They're ready to fill up the liquidity pools on this AMM to provide some of the best liquidity in the world, right? And as you spread that out, it's like elastic, right? We stretch out that liquidity and it grows and it expands. And then it doesn't go away because you're not going to have rug pulls like you are in all of the rest of the DeFi space, where a couple big liquidity providers, make it run up, add all the liquidity, and then, after the coins run up, then they pull all the liquidity and it's a rug pull time after time again. What you're talking about here is you're talking about Ripple pulling up with on-demand liquidity institutions and adding liquidity and never taking it away. Ripple has billions of XRP that they could plug into these AMMs and never have to pull it and just continually get those fees off of it. And I always bring it back to Ripple being a lender of last resort. And I think that so many people are still underestimating how many pre-allocation contracts Ripple has done and their true plans for XRP, right? They want to hold on to some so they can be a lender of last resort, but then they also want to make sure that the XRP ledger is the source for the best liquidity in the world. It's very simple. Now, as we mentioned, this is a big step in the right direction, getting this clawback amendment. I'm going to play a little piece right here. This is from Daniel from Casino Coin, and he put this explainer video together. It's very well done, and I will put the link to the tweet down below in the description of this video. So if you guys want to watch, it's a full about 5.5 minute long clip. I'm just going to play a quick 30 seconds so that he can explain why this is so important. Listen in on this one, folks.
The introduction of the clawback feature addresses regulatory and compliance needs in the digital asset space. There are instances where, for legal reasons, issuers must retract tokens. For example, if tokens inadvertently land in the hands of entities involved in illicit activities, the clawback function empowers issuers to recover those assets, ensuring compliance with legal standards. However, a critical distinction exists. This feature is exclusively for specific tokens and does not apply to XRP.
So that's the important distinction that needs to be made. Everybody needs to understand you cannot claw back XRP. If you could, they'd probably be trying to claw back that XRP that got taken from Chris Larson's wallets, right? But there is no clawback for XRP. This is only for issued assets, and it is not the default. When you go to issue a token or create a token, the default is no clawback feature. So you specifically have to choose to add that clawback. But as I mentioned at the very beginning of this episode, this is why issuers like Circle have issued USDC on the Stellar network. One of the reasons is they have that clawback ability along with the speed of Stellar. Now, you also see Franklin Templeton pulled up to the Stellar network, and Wisdom Tree showed up as well, right? They're issuing equities and mutual funds and tokenized treasuries on the Stellar network because these features are enabled. So the clawback is critical. AMM going to be just as important, maybe even more important, right? The AMM, especially to Ripple's business model, very important. But then we move on over to XLS38D, the cross-chain bridge. That one's coming, which gives us interoperability with the EVM sidechain. The EVM sidechain's running right now. We just need interoperability. We don't get that till we have XLS38D. It's a cross-chain bridge that connects us with the EVM sidechain. The EVM sidechain, though, does use XRP as a gas token. So come settle up any EVM smart contract using XRP, 3 to 5 seconds, no cost, and let's get a deal done. Then we move on over to XLS40D, which is decentralized identity. And this, not to be confused with, global ID, digital ID, the government's going to track all your data. This actually respects your privacy better. You have control over your data, and it allows you to only show what's the term that I'm trying to think of? The information that you want to share. You get to decide what gets shared, right? So it gives you kind of control in that regard, and it's decentralized identity that allows for on-chain KYC. So once again, when you're thinking of government compliance and regulations, this is what you need. You need the clawbacks, you need that decentralized ID. That way, anything that needs to be KYC'd, anything that needs clawback in a regulated institutional environment, it's good to go. Meanwhile, the mainnet XRP ledger remains decentralized, remains immutable, remains permissionless, and completely open source. So once again, decentralization on display for the XRP ledger. We absolutely love to see it. Massive utility getting enabled here this week with the clawback, and we have much more utility on the way, which is why I personally am remaining as bullish as ever on this little tiny reserve currency of the new financial system. Guilty as charged. You guys let me know in the comments down below what you guys think about this one, and I will see you in the next one. Have a great weekend. God bless. I am your host, Zach Rector. I really appreciate all of the love and support. If you want to support the channel, just remember that you can start by smashing that thumbs up for me, sharing this content far and wide, and everything else is at my website.